You know, and we had to do some, move electrical around and some plumbing. But and then they put in a big HVAC system in here to make it nicer. Even though, truthfully, the one here was fine. But everyone's like babies nowadays. You gotta keep them really cool.
Yeah.
So they dumped about $300,000 into this building.
Wow.
You know, to upgrade it for us. And so, have a seat, you guys, if you want to hear.
Your thing here is heat. Hot summers is the killer.
Yeah, we have a very dry heat, like the desert.
Uh-huh.
You know, and so we will typically get. The nice part about Sacramento, though, is you'll have a 40-degree everyday swing. So you'll wake up at 60, 57, 58, and then you'll by the end of the day it's 103, and then that night it drops.
Wow.
Because we're so close to the bay.
Okay.
You know, I live about 30 miles south if you're in the Delta. So, and in a little teeny town of 800 people. So I'm about 30 miles closer to the Bay Area. This morning I had overcast, and then it goes away like at 8 in the here.
We noticed yesterday it was
burns off.
Yeah,
which is wonderful. Like a Napa and Sonoma, it may not burn off till 11. You know, typically when I grew up there, but and where I live in the Delta, oh my God, it's so nice. And then you'll wake up, it's 55, 56, go for a walk, and then shut all the windows, lower the blinds, save that cool weather, right?
Yeah.
And then it'll be beautiful. And then around 7 or 8 p.m., the breeze starts up here.
Oh, nice.
The Delta breeze, because it just sucks the heat right through the bay, up through the San Joaquin River in Sacramento. All of a sudden, there'll be this beautiful breeze, and the temperature goes from 100, 90, 80, 70 by 10 o'clock.
Man.
And people open up all their windows.
Oh, that's sweet, yeah.
Saves on electric. Now, if you live in Fresno, you're screwed. Or Merced or Bakersfield, because they don't get that air conditioning. We call it Bay Area air conditioning at night.
It's all kind of died off by the time the wind and everything.
Their low at night might be 80.
Yeah.
Which isn't comfortable, really, if you want to, it's better than nothing, but, and I'm like, phew, it's really glorious, and it saves on the your electric bills.
Sure. How's your humidity?
Low.
So, hey, swamp coolers work?
Swamp coolers were great
Yeah.
here. In fact, my folks live in Vacaville. You probably drove right by it. It's like Davis, Vacaville.
Okay.
They've had a swamp cooler for years, and central air. They never use their central air.
Yeah.
They're chintzy and they don't want to spend money, and I don't blame them. And I'm like, we grew up with a swamp cooler. We didn't have AC.
Yeah.
You would just turn that little water trickle on,
Yeah.
and it just flashed.
We can get a 30-degree drop.
At Reno?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
With our AC, it'll be 100 and we can maintain 70.
see, it saves money. Yeah, I mean, if you're in the humidity areas, it's bad. Like if you live in Houston or Florida, I've been there. Those places are horrible. Is that a GoPro? Yeah, a GoPro.
It's a GoPro.
Yeah. What GoPro?
9.
Nice. I have 3.
Yeah, this was. They're pretty. I mean, after a certain point, that's.
They're killer.
Yeah.
I've been playing with little 50-watt panels. I love them because they're portable.
How much do they
You can
weigh?
link them together.
Yeah,
You
you just like
So I'm making little portable swamp coolers out of milk crates. And
Oh, great! You just like deploy them, right?
yeah,
Just
yeah,
lift them.
and
Yeah.
They seem to work pretty nice. I just love these little panels.
Someone made a air conditioner for their car with an ice chest, and they used Ryobi batteries that they charged from the cigarette lighter to power a fan system, and pour ice in it and water, and basically it was a swamp cooler in the car
with ice.
And I'm like, it so works. It's funny looking. It's so hacked, right? But it was all found materials. Even the ice chest was like totally. And I really appreciate people's thinking like that. Like, all about sustainability. Hey Eddie, how are you?
Good. How are you? Yeah.
This is Craig and Luther. They're our solar cooker folks. They're visiting.
Hello.
This is Eddie. Eddie's one of our Hot Shots electronics guys.
Yes. Cool.
Simple guy.
And,
This is Valerie.
hi Valerie.
On a tour.
Hey, make yourself at home. Pleasure to meet you. Yeah. Yeah, Eddie's great. He's like he knows everything. He's like anything you ask him. I mean, he figures it out or he does it. I mean, we're trying to we had a really powerful electronics tech program here with not like engineering electronics, but like engineering tech vocation, like to get you on a 2-year track to get a job, right, in electronics. And then the professor retires 4 or 5 years ago, so they just end the department because they couldn't find anybody. And I'm like, no. So we've been looking at this guy. Is like we're like cultivating him to maybe go for that. We just need. Obviously, there's 2 full-time positions in this department, and I'm like, this guy has a degree in electronics engineering, and I have another guy I'm courting because we want to infuse solar and sustainability into the mindsets of students. Like we have a whole class we teach here on hacking and repairing electronics, like, and you'll probably see the remnants. If it can't be fixed, we rip it apart.
Desoldering, looking up what the chip is, blah blah.
Yeah, and just like you'll see torn apart printers, like everything. Like, well, how does this work? We de-engineer everything, deconstruct. You know, and it's such a cool. Students walk out of there going, I really like this as a possible future. And we have jobs all over Sacramento for electronics techs that start at $30 an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, like
Not bad. Huh?
not hey, when you're 20s, $30. I mean, I'll take $30 an hour.
More than I ever made.
I know. I mean, like, are you kidding me? You know, I mean, there's some like great jobs around Sacramento. You know, just for all. You know, we teach computer numeric control CNC operations in the back. I'll show you, and then those students start at 25, 26 an hour. And they just have to have just the minimal understanding, and then they get trained. You know, whether it's a cabinet shop, a small manufacturing. Yeah, there's all these little weird manufacturers in Sacramento that do tooling. We got a job they do high-end motorcycle aftermarket accessories for Harley Davidsons.
Oh man!
Like fairings and speaker, you know, the stuff that holds all that. And these people that don't know spend money on there. And then we have a guy that does the speaker racks for speedboats. You know, the big racks you see when they make those in Sacramento, and they need kids that know CNC because all the machines are just bent, turned, and all that.
Yeah.
Kid goes out of here and he's now making $30-40 an hour for some local. I'm like, I didn't know those were being made here.
Yeah.
You know, they ship them all over the country, and they now do truck accessories, their grills, and all that crap that you spend money on your $80,000 truck. You know, and but people, it's all powder coated, the whole bit. It's all done here. And these students get jobs, and I'm like, I didn't even know that. Was that great? Anyway, so.
Sorry,
everything. I used to teach slot classes, you know.
Yeah.
It's nice to have them go out and get a job.
Feels so good. It feels so good.
Because you taught them how to do something.
You would not believe it. That's one of my big payoffs. Is they got a job related, somewhat. They're not flipping burgers. Nothing wrong with flipping burgers, but they're not. They're in a pathway.
Yeah.
It makes me feel so good. And then they will come back, and then they will be like mentors to other students.
Yeah.
You know, the guy that did the motorcycle things came back, and I hired him. You know, and I'm like, I want you, because he's Hispanic, he comes from the streets, the gangs, now he's almost 30, and they look to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to talk, he can speak Spanish, he can talk to these kids and like stop them in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And go, you need to stay, he will talk tough to him.
Yeah.
So your butts need to stay here. And I'll talk to him in Spanish, and I'm like, are you gonna get me in trouble for what you're saying? He goes, no. He goes, I just know how to talk to them.
That's just your deniability. I don't know the Spanish.
I don't know. I mean, he's now an employee. Talk to HR. It's not me. They don't want to listen to me. I'm just an old white guy, you know. But no, actually, we have some great kids here. We have, you know, this is an extremely diverse city, you know, and it's also poor. You know, we're in the midtown, downtown core. Most of our students, I think it's 70% are low to poverty income.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they get their books paid for, they get their tuition, which is so cheap. It's $50 a unit. comped, and they even get like $150 each semester to spend in the cafeteria.
Sure.
You know, just little things, just to say, just stay here.
Yeah.
But this makerspace has been the biggest sticky space. You know, because when the students see this, because we have tons of high school students parade through here when they're in 11th and 12th grade we'll do campus day, where they come, we feed them, we'll take them to all the buildings, the library, then they'll come to the makerspace, and they're like, college can be like this?
Yes.
It's not, you know, and I'm like, hey, there's still going to be horrible classes that you're going to come to
Right,
me,
you're still gonna have to
and you're going to
deal
get
with
a book
that's
that
why.
thick, right, with algebra and calculus. But I go, we all have to do that, but there is also this,
Yes.
where you can play productively and make stuff. And then if they take our classes here, because you don't have to take a class to come in here. You can come in if you're a registered student, log in, and we will just sit down and show you like how to use the laser cutter. But if you obviously are studying something like 3D printing or manufacturing or engineering, our engineering students really take advantage of this because they'll learn like we operate on Fusion 360 from AutoCAD to do our modeling, and then we'll say take a maker class, take the maker electronics class, or take Maker 140, which is the one that I think we did the solar thing with.
Sure.
And then it's a survey class. You learn this,
Yeah.
this, either in 8 or 16 weeks. Simple 2 units, no prereq, and boom, they're here 24/7, as much as we're open. And we also, since we are in a poor area, we try to give them all supplies paid for, you know, within reason, which is pretty amazing if you think about it. Because most people go, I really want to come here, but I can't afford acrylic,
Yeah.
masonite, sheet metal, even solar panels or stuff. Sometimes we just found a whole treasure trove of old solar panels, you know, from the old electronics. They're old, but we're like, we can at least hack them and work. Yeah, exactly. So the whole point is, they'll come in here, and we even like give them T-shirts to print their own designs on, and all the materials to make stickers, and bags to put your logos on and stuff. Just and they're like, they sort of can't believe it.
Sure.
And it's like, we just want you to not have any barriers, you know. And then when we do projects, we'll do team-based projects, and like what Riyadh and I were working on is in the fall. Because again, it'll be sunny and warm here till about October 15th, easy, you know, till about the time change.
Yeah.
It'll be not. I mean, we've had Halloweens where it's been 100 degrees, and we've got Halloweens when it's 55 and raining, you know, depending on El Nino or whatever it's going to be. But so, we were like, well, let's get them to like do projects that causes them to fire their pistons on multiple levels. And so that's what we've been working on. Yeah.
I teach actually I just wrapped up teaching 18 years at Metropolitan State University in Minneapolis, Twin
Right.
Cities.
Right.
And they were founded with the basically the saying, their credo was a university without walls.
Yeah.
No barriers.
Love
And so
that.
it's the way to go, because everyone can learn. We all know that.
Yeah.
Well, so just to kind of bookend
Yeah.
discussing, because what you just talked about, that's all great.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to talk about was the three of us here, Tom Cappelletti with Sacramento City College, Craig Berglund, Secret Solar Institute of Northern Nevada,
Right.
and I'm Luther Kruger, Big Blue Sun Museum of Solar Cooking. And the conversation, the starting point is really the fact that this makerspace has participated in a way to promote solar cooking.
Correct.
The long-term situation, we've all been also in on Zoom calls about setting up an online class.
Yeah.
So primarily the content I want to kind of start to gather for how to promote will be here in talking about how you do it through education.
Correct.
How we can make sure people know that there's this thing called solar cooking out there.
Correct.
So if you could summarize the global video series of global makers on solar cooking, just a real cheat sheet, what that was all about.
Well, you know, Riyadh was the principal leader of that. He's my colleague, Riyadh Bahar, and he runs our Global Studies Department program, actually. And we had talked about this when COVID started, about bringing this together, because it's interesting. It started about our love for food. which we've realized is cross-cultural and worldwide. And food is a way to bring people of different persuasions, ethnicities, whatever religions together, and break bread literally together. And then we're also hungry, for delicious food. And so Riyadh was like, and also the whole idea of the ecological and sustainable element. One of the core missions of this college, a very powerful mission statement that was developed in the last few years, is to encourage an awareness of ecological and sustainable issues, both geologic, atmospheric, and socioeconomic. To incorporate that into every learning outcome in every class. And so, and we have many different workshops for faculty to basically bring an awareness. And it's not really like woke or anything like that. It's really about bringing awareness to the young folks about things they may not be aware of, but using science and facts, And so, and that's been sort of what we've been doing. And so then our first event was with Grace from Kenya. Just a fantastic person. I have to meet in person someday. And she has these pots that you basically insulate, and then let them basically like a slow cooker, and in a beautiful kind of graceful way. And then she gave our first Zoom on that, and then it went from there. We had a gentleman from was it Haiti or Jimmy?
Eli Sheriff.
Eli. Yeah, and so then he was also another one, and then we had I'm really bad with names. Is it Sharon?
Sharon Clausen.
Sharon Clausen from San Diego.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was also, and her kits are really cool because they're very basic DIY that you can really just kind of, you can also do it on your own or kind of leverage what she does, and so we've created, all of us have created this kind of international, I guess it's international community, of kind of like-minded folks that have met periodically. And then we had then always wanted to maybe use us as a testing ground at Sacramento City College. Then we went through a few iterations of this place being shut down for all the remodeling, and it, of course, went way longer than we wanted. We were shut down about a year longer than we had planned. But that is, I've learned now, when you work with contractors, that's how it works. But now we're open, and we're open full bore for the future. And so, and so now the goal was, the next step was to do what we wanted to do, a challenge. And the challenge would be to take students in collaborative teams to work on different types of technologies, and truthfully, it's for them to explore all the different ways you can do this. There's no winner in like you cook the fastest. It's more about explore all the different existing technologies that are out there, some of the more experimental ones, and kind of like play with what works and what doesn't work and why, but then also maybe innovate. Bring it together, because we use this process called design thinking, which is basically critical thinking, where you what's the $3 word? You iterate, you brainstorm over and over, and you make, test, repeat, and you pause, you fail, or you go, what can we do better by testing? And so the whole Makerspace credo is based on, lay out a plan based on your best research and stuff, test it, then refine it, and then it's a circular cycle that never ends. And so this is conducive to that perfectly. And so, and then we were going to make it what's called a learning module in our classes. Like that would be, you could choose this as a 3 to 4 person team module to then take this on and have like an 8-week time frame. In the beginning, the first 8 weeks of our 16-week semester would be grounding on tooling, procedures, operations. And then the second 8 weeks would be, usually all students get to work on an independent project for themselves, but then also your team project would be to develop and work on this and test it. And the whole idea is that they just discover what's going on. And through that, you never know what might happen. And there's always we thought about reaching out to some other departments on campus. Like we have the engineers, of course, which you think would have an advantage, but maybe not. But then we were going to reach out to the art department.
Yes.
Because just because you're in the art department doesn't mean you don't have a scientific brain. And a few of the other departments, we have it's called Engineering Design Technology. It's sort of the beginnings of architecture program here. So, and they learn a lot of CAD. And so we thought, all right. And then of course, believe it or not, we have the HVAC department.
Wow.
And those guys learn refrigeration, heat pumps, solar, as more of a technician. Because it's a 2-year program where then they go and work at a facility. So those folks, and we work a lot with them, and as I was mentioning earlier, the rebirth of the electronics technology department is a perfect fit.
Sure.
And then we thought about eventually, after we started it in Maker, to do like a divisional challenge. Like pit divisions or departments against each other, because then we'd be ready for Earth Day.
Yes.
And go okay, roll them out or set them up. And this last Earth Day, we had about 5 or 10 solar cookers set up.
Nice.
That we own, and some of the professors that work here own. We've had all kinds of them, and in fact, one student went and touched something, and it was like, yow! He didn't believe it. I go, don't touch that. It was the little metal rack that holds the pot. I go, no, don't touch that. He goes, I just want to see if it,
Yes. Now you know.
It's very hot.
Yeah.
And it was like within 15 minutes of setting it up.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, sign up for our class.
Well, and I recall Ivan Yaholnitsky was going to be one of the videos. Was that already done? Did he already?
I'm not aware of that.
Because I remember in Mary and Jennifer with the Solar Education Project, of course, are part of the planning for both the Maker Challenge and the Global Maker Series thing with the cookers.
Right.
And I know they sent me a summation of kind of the videos Ivan had put together for that. And at the time, they wanted to. There was something about wanting to get it down to 5 or 6 minutes or something.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I got it down to where it didn't take out any steps, and I felt it was pretty good. But I didn't know where it went from there because I know it was in the middle of transition from previous. Was it
I'm not sure.
Volunteer, or?
Yeah, I think it's still in the mix.
Yeah.
To pursue it, and then Ivan's from Sweden, right?
He's Lesotho.
Oh, Lesotho. Okay, I'm mixing up the.
Stefan Karnevak was the idea with the class. Yeah.
That's right. It's funny when you have all these people as little Zoom squares. You're like, which one was Ivan and Stefan? I know exactly. You guys. But yeah, and I think. Well, I think the vision with the global makers was that this would just be perpetual.
Right.
Several times a year. And then, I'm sure we'll bring in others in the future that we don't even know about yet.
Yeah.
And maybe even other schools that are happening around. Yeah. Then the other thing we kept thinking about was high school students. We have 40 or 50 high schools in Sacramento to get them engaged, because we have funding to do a lot of high school outreach to get them to think about what is traditionally called vocational education. We now call it career technical education. So we have all this this grant of money that we wanted to. This could be part of their experience here, whether after school or whatever it is, but like non-curricular.
Sure.
Because we're trying, there's always been this gap about getting high school students aware of college. And high school teachers are swamped, we know that. But there was this grant to help us, free us up, or get other people to create these connections and get them here for a day or two. And so we were thinking Rod and I were thinking why not this is a great team building exercise. It's something everybody in Sacramento knows about. It's like one of the sunniest places in this country.
Yeah.
So that was something for 2025 because this grant looks like it's going to happen to create bridges and pathways. And part of it is to train high school faculty into what we do.
Yeah.
Because then they become our evangelists.
Sure.
And and I have friends that are high school teachers, and I know it's a tough hoe. I'm sort of spoiled as community college, but I mean, I'm like, you guys, if we can pay you a little stipend and maybe give you a few supplies, and then we can have a big meetup and just get them engaged.
Yes.
So
gives them more data. It gives them more.
And you start building this.
They can expand their own curriculum by incorporating this stuff that you're showing them that they can use.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, 100%. Yeah.
Well, and of course we met online 3 times about the class, and I started the forum and I set it aside for family stuff. But meantime, that's going to come back.
Right.
In fact, we're going to launch it in July to start doing just placeholder modules on stuff like panel cookers. We'll have Sharon's video, for instance.
That's great.
Yeah, and I don't know who we have yet for a box cooker.
So you're gonna have like this online resource bank.
And it'll be a little bit of content to generate the interest, and then links to further research. Maybe a full length video on like this would be the whole video if they wanted to see more. But in the meantime, as far as the promotional part, I don't remember what module it is, 4 or 6 or something. All the various ways people are promoting it. And the one thing that struck me, and the one reason I worked with Stefan, let's get some real people together on this, was how many, like Sharon was involved with her makerspace. That's how she kind of cut her teeth on, solar cooking. Craig with the Bridgewire in Reno for years, and but every now and again does a demonstration on solar cookers and so forth.
Right.
And when I heard about that, I thought, well, what if we tapped into all of them around the world? And I've discovered Make Magazine registers makerspaces, and there's 1,200 or so, like 6 in Cairo, And so we floated the idea. How about I originally called it a contest, but the great thing about discussing with like-minded thinkers is calling it the challenge, where it's more everyone's going to rise to it no matter what comes out of it.
Right.
And so I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I know, like Make Magazine in particular, I'd like to get it through there too. So it's not just the maker spaces, but.
And I was going to put you in touch with the Make Magazine folks. Dale Doherty, who runs the Maker movement pretty much. He's not really associated with Make Magazine anymore, but he is. He still is connected with it. And I'll give you his contact information. Yeah. He has an online Maker Ed. Is his whole thing right now.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and he's actually coming here in a week or so for a quick visit. But he's interviewed me for his online website, Maker Ed.
Wow.
So, but Make Magazine also is an excellent resource, and they're always looking for material. And I think they would probably help broadcast this. I think what I'll do is I'll probably end up emailing Dale and CC you and introduce you digitally and say this would be a great interview for him to make on his Substack or whatever he's doing, and it's really killer. And then I think you start that whole pathway, and then again the Maker Fair is in October. We went to it last year. It's in Vallejo. Right over there. It was beautiful because it's right at the old Mare Island shipyards. Well, it's gorgeous, these old buildings, and the whole maker place was set up, and there was thousands of people. I chartered a whole bus and packed it with 50 students, paid for their tickets, and we just drove down to Vallejo for the whole day to go to the Maker Fair. And that would be something to get into and have a booth or something, because a lot of it's kind of fun and silly stuff, but then there's a lot of educational stuff happening all over that place. And I kept thinking, can we do something can I get the school to pay for a booth?
Well, you've got one of the maker.
Right here.
So, and we're talking. I collect manufactured solar cookers.
Yeah.
But Greg collects every solar device that he makes from found objects and
I love it.
just from
Wine box.
wine box, you know, you name it.
I love it.
Yeah. And,
That's right.
yeah.
I mean, it's like the true spirit of recycling and repurposing.
Now,
You
when
know, after collapse, automobiles are gonna be the big thing.
Yeah.
There's so much on
Repurpose
a
every
car
part.
that we can take and make stuff with. I mean, how many motors, you got freaking heated mirrors, for God's sake.
There's gonna be so many. There's got to be something to do with all that stuff.
Exactly.
God.
No, when I was here last, did I give you guys a copy? You and Rhea had a copy of the Big Book of Maker Skills by Chris Hackett.
You may. I don't have it though. Riyadh might have.
Okay,
It.
he might maybe. I got another one on the top of my card. Don't
Okay.
let me leave without.
Okay.
it.
Okay. Deal.
And
deal.
I mentioned that because I want to.
Jim, can I introduce Jim?
Sure. Yes.
Jim, this is Luther and Craig. They're with solar.
Pleased to meet you.
They're with the
how
solar
are you?
cooker movement.
Oh, nice.
So Jim is a college professor here who taught our electronics class in the makerspace, a maker class that give him like the elevator pitch. What you guys did?
So the first half of the semester we learned ways of, it's about fixing broken electronics. So the first half of the semester we learned like troubleshooting ways to fix things you might get at Goodwill that don't work. And then the second half we repurposed the parts, the ones we couldn't fix. So
And that's why there's huge trash cans full of stuff in the. Which you'll see in a bit.
Yeah.
But it's such a green class,
Right.
and I think it really. They had a table set up during Earth Day, also the students, and it's just a great energy
Right.
to get them to be aware and get everybody aware about all the garbage we create unnecessarily. You
And
know,
and how much of that garbage can be brought back in to
Yeah.
for a purpose in life.
I worked 30 years slot repair as a slot
Okay.
mechanic, and one of the best things I learned was desoldering
Right.
and pulling those chips out for reuse and testing. I mean, there's so much crap now that
Yeah.
we're gonna be able to repurpose.
yeah.
I
it's
should
great.
get two, so you can get one to him. Have you heard of the book, The Big Book of Maker Skills, by Chris Hackett? He started a makerspace in Brooklyn called the Madagascar Institute, maybe 15, 16 years ago, ran it
Yeah.
for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Popular Science tapped into for 10 episodes of a series called Stuck with Hackett, where they just dropped him in the middle of the desert like an abandoned hotel, said, live there for 10 days on just what you find. You know, or make a rocket ride for a fair, you know, and I don't know, whatever you find in the junkyard. And it's A to Z, everything 3D printing, welding with 3 car
hard,
batteries
yeah.
and a wire and a stick, you know. Anyway, it's one of the best books ever written because he's a good writer.
Yeah, I would have remembered this.
Very
You
useful.
gave
Yeah,
me- you must have given
Do
me
not let me
Riyadh.
forget. Yeah, do not let me
Okay.
forget. I got at least 4, 5, 6 copies on the top of my car, so I'll pull out 2 for you guys.
Thank
Thank you.
Yes, you bet.
Yeah.
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 Well, great. Thanks. Good to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy end of semester.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Get my grading done, you know.
Oh, I know. I did mine last night.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yep.
And we're excited because we're starting to now finally settle in
Yeah.
here, and all of our classes are full. We offer I think we're offering 6 or 7 courses. 1, 2, I don't know, 8 maybe
Yep.
for this fall, and we had 6 or 7 in this semester, and they all fill, and with wait lists.
Yeah.
And we also have an independent study where students can just sign up, and then we suggest what they can do. Usually it's more higher level students, because when you take a maker class or a CNC class, you get expanded access to the space.
Sure.
So it's kind of like the platinum card, right? Versus like students that just drop in, you're treated well and everything. But if you're taking a maker class or a manufacturing class here, you get an extra 2 days a week to come into this space.
Sure.
And so that's sort of the hook.
Yeah.
And then we also ask our more senior students to keep an eye on mentor the young pups. Because again, when they hear it from someone who's just maybe 4 or 5 years older, they're like, hey, you should be, hold it this way, or whatever. I mean, I don't care how many trainings I put students through. I'm still like, put your safety glasses on. You know, I mean, oh my God. Or like, put that ponytail back, you know, like,
man.
you know.
Get that
And
sleeve out of the way.
I don't care
God.
how many times they've watched the videos, they've gone through the training. We give them an hour safety training, and then we watch them. I'll still, like 4 weeks later, walk in. And you know, and again, hey, I was 20 years old too once, but I'm like, and I don't really scream at him. I'm like, what are you doing? You know, so, you know.
That's why Hackett's book's so great. He starts off saying, we're going to talk a lot about power tools. Their purpose in life is to kill you.
Yeah. You know, right? I mean, yeah. I mean, that's like get it into your awareness quickly.
Yeah.
And just like what I was saying about the kid who burned, or not burned, but got a smack on his hand when he touched that metal rack. It's like use this first.
Yes.
You know, just always, and like get some situational awareness down. So,
You get excited.
well, heck yeah.
You know,
I mean,
you get excited.
I have
oh,
woods
well,
on me.
I'll do this. But first I want to do this, and then I'll take care of it. And there it goes.
well, you know, and I'm like, I'm in charge of this place, and so I don't want to deal with the paperwork. You know, so.
Well, I've got Chris Hackett's contact information.
Yeah.
He's really kind of cards close to the chest.
Yeah.
But there's an article by a guy with the New York Times where I just tracked him down and said, hey, would you happen to have contact? And he gave me his cell phone number, so I'm hoping I can, and maybe even just him doing an intro, you know, hey, the author of the Big Book of Maker Skills.
That'd be great.
You know, and he did, the video that I learned about him with was, he said, let's pasteurize, clean up water from the East River. You know, if all of a sudden, because there's like 2 big tunnels, I think only one major tunnel that go into New York with fresh water from like 90 miles away.
Yep.
If that goes kaflooey, what do you got left? You got the Hudson, you got the East River, you know? And so he did it with just found stuff. And so I think it'd be fun to maybe, if only for one segment, do just a quick. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So we got two to-dos here.
Yeah.
I get you 2 copies of that book.
Yeah.
And then
I love it.
Yeah, and if I can contact Mr. Dougherty and just say, you know, let's maybe do a Zoom call to scope out how we can make something happen.
I'm gonna meet with him, I think next Friday in person. I will definitely, I'll send an email first, but I'll say I'll talk to him more when I meet him in person.
Yep.
Because he wanted to interview me again because I'm retiring, you know, but probably within a year.
Sure.
But I'm like, you know, I'm not retiring right now, Dale. So, I mean, like, what are you trying to tell me? You know, but he's involved in a lot of cool things, and you know, with Maker Ed.
Yeah.
And he writes a lot about the future of education. And in fact, he's been slowly working. He lives in Sonoma County too, in the Sebastopol area.
Oh, sure.
And so there's
Came from there,
and there's a high school kind of between Sebastopol and Forestville where they consolidated to, so there's an empty high school.
Oh my.
And he was really doing his best, dealing with local politics, trying to get them on board to create it as more of a vocational high school, but a maker-based high school for kids that are not A students, but maybe C students, to give them a different, like, pedagogical model.
Sure.
You know, like remember the old like trade concept, but still very critical thinking. And I'm like, wow, and trying to get it through like the school system, you know, is like, I thought, what a great idea. Now, some of these high schools sort of are happening around the state, but they're sort of like, they're not quite what, they're kind of creating an elite, the special kids get to go there. And which those kids are going to end up going to UC Berkeley or Stanford anyway. We, like, our vision has always been, that's why Dale and I are really good friends, is he feels like the community college system is where the great majority of people go, especially economically disadvantaged students. And also they could be smart as a whip, but they just don't have the means, or maybe they're first person in their family to go to higher education, you know. So this to me is the great gateway. And the same with high schools that don't quite know what to do with kids that maybe aren't evidently on a college track. It's like, well, let's get them, like, where after 3 years, maybe you're ready for something, you know? And so I thought, man, what a great idea. And that's what we're doing on our little thing here. Because, you know, students come here and they're going like, well, I didn't know college was like this. you know, like I said earlier, and I said it's a lot different.
Let me interject a term
Yeah.
that I've been playing with, and I really love this term, and I don't fully understand it yet, but I keep exploring it. Heuristics.
Oh, heuristics, right?
That's
Yeah.
something you could incorporate into the students who are not A students, maybe because they have some difficulty in learning the algorithms of
They have, yeah.
of how
They have
to do
different
it.
ways of looking at the
And,
world, and yeah.
apparently, heuristics is the opposite of algorithm. It's the antithesis, or the other
Complementary
side of
other-
algorithmic. And so I keep exploring this term because it goes pretty deep. And
It's
it's the fastest way to achieve a goal using self-learned, using ways other than existing methods of achieving the goal.
yeah.
So-
That's exactly what we do here. But we may not. You know, we're sometimes finding our way in the dark because we always believed the core is project-based learning, because you know the rest of the school is just book learning, or maybe in chemistry, and there's some labs, but here it's like, let's just find what everybody else can, you know, whether you have a different learning module or learning
Method.
Yeah, because some people are more visual learners or auditory learners. Some
I'm a
people might be on the
taster.
spectrum a little. I know, whatever it is. I mean, we're all on the spectrum probably, but then I've seen so many times students all of a sudden they figure out their groove by doing, and then they just figure out something is happening in their brain, and I've never seen it in the old way of teaching, because you just see them they suffer, or they just don't do well on tests. But here, it's like if they're not participating, that's an issue for me to deal with, you know. But then after a while, they get in a groove. It's really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, the system, how do I have it explained to me?
Heuristic.
Kids will learn until you beat out the desire to
Yeah.
learn. You beat it out of them. Don't beat it out of them.
And you know what? We're all curious by nature, and kids are just fat. And then if you keep a level of fun and humor in it, that's why we're in this room, by the way. This is the fun room that kind of is the secret sauce to get people to come in. And people that may not think they can deal with a more technical issue, a complex machine, or even something as complex as sun angles and heat, but it all starts with just start using your brain and your hands. And even if it's sewing or craft or painting or dyeing or printing, before you know it, they wander into the back rooms. And our CNC class, for the first time ever, had 50% women and men,
Right.
because it's in this room, in this building. It used to be 4 or 5 guys. Now it's 20 to 30 students, half women.
Nice.
Because they go, wait, I can, you know, some of these sewing machines require programming.
Yeah.
I mean, we have programmable embroidery machines and complex printing. And it's like, wait, if you can figure out that, it's pretty easy to step it into 3D printing, and then it just expands your skill set. You know, so.
You get youth excited about learning, and they'll stay excited their whole
Good.
life.
They will.
Yeah.
And my comment is, I just hit 75 the other day.
Just a baby.
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do when I grow up.
Yeah, I'm right behind you. I'm 64, and I'm like,
Really?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
59, yeah.
30.
And you know what? I
Street, but
I always tell people, I still feel like a teenager in here.
Yeah.
And sometimes, because I'm always like, I'm lucky too to be in this job, because I'm always messing around, goofing off, but in a dedicated, playful manner to, like, we're tinkers, we're inventors, we have students that come in, we're like, well, I don't know, let's just figure this out. And before you know it, they're off onto maybe something that could be a livelihood. And they're also maybe being a good citizen, helping others, so.
and contributing to the progress of.
Yeah, we want to create good citizens here, you know, because, you know, it's not just being selfish about making a living, but caring about your brothers and sisters out there. You know, this school has a wonderful food distribution, most of the students take advantage of. The Sacramento Food Bank comes on board, and all kinds of social services that we deal with, because we want them to know that you're in a community here and we care about you. We do. So.
Great. Well,
All right.
Okay,
are you going to keep rolling on that?
Yeah, I believe one or two of these keep going.
really good for being in your 60s, man.
Hey, damn you.
Okay.
And
Okay, right.
and really, if you hang this around too, and as he points to things, point that at whatever he's pointing to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so you know, okay.
And I'll just leave this up here, and I'll bring the couple cameras around.
Yeah, so this was our craft zone, we call it, so
Yep.
you got that.
Yep.
And again, I apologize, we started tearing things apart this week because we're reorganizing, but you kind of get a vibe.
Yeah.
This little room can sometimes have 10 people in it.
Yeah.
And it's awesome, and we'll have, it's not just women, it's guys, women, young, old, and they will be doing everything from figuring out complex embroidery on the machines over here to crochet.
Yeah.
You know, which
Yeah.
is, actually, I didn't realize this, knitting is incredibly good for your math brain.
Yeah.
And they've done studies where people that knit figure out algebra and geometry way faster. Because there's something about it, then I'm like, no wonder I'm no good at knitting. No. So,
Okay, well, go ahead. I'll grab this other one here.
and so this is kind of our technological room. Again, here's like our 10-thread embroidery over here, which requires programming. There's Hatch embroidery software on it. And you'll see just stuff everywhere because we do printing. We do what's called sublimation printing, where you print onto transfer and then you can heat press it onto T-shirts, metal, bottles, everything. So we have printers all around that do that. Here's a bunch of old 3D printers. We just got 12 new ones coming in that are from Prusa. Each unit has 5 filament threads, and each one has its own temperature-controlled humidifier. So we have these state-of-the-art. They were in Make magazine as one of the most advanced 3D printers. So those are about to come in. We have a lot of other departments on campus that utilize the 3D printers to come up with, whatever they're doing. We can scan. We have high-end hand scanners.
Really?
Yeah, so we can take an optical scanner and then we can print a prototype.
You don't have to type in all those
Yeah,
lines.
but what you can do is if you know the software, you can then go in and heal something. So if you scan something like a engine part that has a crack, then you can go in and heal the crack and then print it on metal and you have a new part. So you can fix, they do this with cars that there's parts aren't available for, like antiques and stuff like that. So we do a lot of 3D printing. We go through tons of filament. We've been trying to recycle filament too. And then over here, we have a currently broken because the motherboard went, but it's on its way. This is a fabric printer. It prints fabric right out. Fully permanent. You can wash it, do everything. You can see some tests over here. So you can run all kinds of different canvas, silk, everything, and it prints gorgeous. Cut it, and so I'll show you one we did over here. I'll bring it over.
Wow.
We printed, this is a design, these are designs from one of our staff. She did this in software. Then this canvas was printed on that machine, and then we just sewed it with foam. And this is fully permanent. You could do this for a tent. An awning, and it won't even fade. And so that machine also prints huge sheets of paper that you can heat transfer. And we have these rollable heat transfers, so you can apply it to all kinds of substrates. And so whether it's metal signage, plastics, you can even heat transfer to glass.
Oh my.
You know, and so it creates all these possibilities for people. So. We have, and I'll show you, we have so much more in back. This is just the beginnings of our printers. This is sort of our warhorse printer. This is what's called a wide format printer. It'll print pretty much anything, plastics, fabrics, sticker material, and it'll print the sticker and then die cut the crazy shape so you can just crack it right off. Huge vinyl canvas banners that you see like on the sides of buildings.
Oh my.
When you came in, you saw the poppies. The actual windows are printed here.
Oh wow.
So if you look out the window, you can't even see it because they're perforated. So what we did is we had the students paint the mural on cardboard. We photographed it where the windows were. Then we brought it into Photoshop, then printed their painting on vinyl, perforated vinyl, and squeegeed it on so it looks like it's part of the mural.
Oh, wow.
And because there was no way they could paint on the window, so they painted on just a cardboard template.
Yeah.
And then people are like, how'd you do that? But you see that like with vehicle. This does the vehicle wraps and all that. So over here's our we call it one of our tech rooms. We have a tech person in here too. So in here we have an electronics bench for messing around with Jim's classes, and we have a couple laser cutter engravers right here. These are really used. You can they can cut vinyl or not vinyl, cut plastics or woods, things like that.
I like it.
We these.
Great.
And engrave, yeah, they'll do everything, and these things get so much use. Yesterday in our meeting, we were like, maybe we need a third laser engraver printer, and so it's just a matter of like finding room for them. Here's all like our piles of electronics debris.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure what that is. That's something. And we're in the middle of redoing this space too because. Again, every time you design a space and then you watch it work, you go, I need to rethink this because it's crowded here and not crowded here, things like that. But it's totally a fun zone, for people. And we always have stuff coming in, like these are multi-touch screens where you touch them, and they're like from an old kiosk system from like 10 years ago. So they didn't need them anymore, but we're just going to hack it and just figure out what to do because they have touch capability and zoom capability, basically like a big phone.
I got a story about touchscreen. I got one of those HP all-in-one where it's the screen and the camera together and touchscreen. Have it in my garage. And I set it out and just break it up. I'm about to do email, and all of a sudden this gnat starts bouncing across the screen and opens Excel.
That is
like,
funny.
I turned it off at that point because I got a keyboard. Anyway.
Oh, you saw that Mandalorian when you went by? Yeah, that was all done by one of our staffers with machines, and like the helmets are 3D printed.
Sure.
He 3D prints them and then glues them and bondos them and sands them, and then people pay $1,000 for those online, custom made to their head size, because they're into the whole cosplay and stuff.
I'd pay for the Batman helmet I saw.
Oh, I know. I know. See, everybody has their thing, right?
So I want to drive around with it on my head.
These are just, we can print on that sublimation paper and then heat transfer right onto garments, hydro flasks or ceramic mugs, ball caps.
Oh, my.
These things get a lot of use because all you do is print on special paper. So this room kicks the game up a bit. So these are our CNC machine, our mills. These are trainers, but these are used in industry to take blocks of substrates, typically metals, and then you learn through like a CAD/CAM software how to mill down a part, and typically metal. And these could be ready for action. I mean, they're ready to put into the component, whatever you need. So we have all these CNC, they're called Tormach 440s.
Oh, you got a bunch of them.
Oh yeah, and then we even have a big boy, which is a commercial unit that has an automatic tool changer. And so our CNC classes operate in this room. In addition to just general, if anybody needs computers, it's fully loaded with all kinds of software. Jim, who we met over there, is teaching a class, an introduction to app development with Python. And so he's going to do that in the fall. This is a fiber laser. So this kicks the game up to take metal and then cut it out like that in maybe in 10 seconds. So you've probably heard of plasma cutters. Yeah. This is a safer method because it uses just high intensity electrical, 1,000-watt laser. And so you can then create precision. When you cut that out, you can just tap the piece out and it falls out. Just perfectly cut, no burrs, nothing like that. So this little puppy is used in industry. So if a student knows how to use a fiber laser, now they may come in all kinds of flavors, but if you can use this machine, you can make parts for anything. And so I'm trying to think what we always everywhere I go, there's scraps laying around. Because I was like, where is that?
Oh, that's reasonably thick. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll do 8 different types of metals up to almost, depending on the metal, up to about a ½ inch. Yeah, like brass, aluminum, carbon steel, stainless steel. Yeah, and so it's a wonderful machine. You got to close the door and wear goggles because it still creates quite a bright spark. You know, but you can lift it up and take it within a couple seconds and just touch it.
Wow.
It's fantastic. And so, let's pop into here. This is another like crazy room full of goodies. We have all kinds of like portable, like this is like what's called a Fordham system. It's like a high-end Dremel. So you can roll it around and use all these cool shaping tools. And we have all these like mobile units. This is a 5-axis mill. It's a tiny mill, so it will work on 5-axis as more of a demo. But it will actually 5-axis mill tiny parts. So this is a great demo to get people to understand the principles of 5-axis CAD/CAM. And then here's a computer-controlled lathe. So this is a commercial lathe that we can put in metal stock and bore down, and it can even be hollow. Again, not a big one, but enough to get the module training right to understand.
You can make some really nice stuff on
Oh
this.
my gosh, I know.
Yeah, I had a small one. It was Harbor Freight that was about this size. It was.
Oh yeah, we used to have a little Harbor Freight mini mills.
Yeah.
Or mini lathes. Those are great. And then we've just set these up. These are called Lowsbots. These have a bigger bed, two head, so you have 2 filaments simultaneously happening. It'll build up to about a little bit bigger than that, like full-size replicas as high as you can go. Mix colors. Here's the other one we're working on. These are little prototyping mills from Roland. So these, you can load hardwoods, plastics, prototyping foams, not really metals, but you can use like jewelry grade metals to do fine molding. Like you can make chess pieces, you can make all kinds of complex little things, but again, you're understanding the principles of CAD/CAM and then manifesting it on a smaller level with these. That's a belt-driven 3D printer where you can actually just run stock through. And here's some prototyping plastics or core foam and things like that, so you can like engrave on and stuff like that. It gets deeper and deeper into here. Just all kinds of different types of printers that we have.
Oh my God.
Oh, and you know the laser. One of the students, all the laser cutters cut leather.
Huh.
Of course.
You know, and I have a wallet that a guy cut all the patterns out on the laser, and then he perfed the holes. So then he hand stitched them and stamped it.
Wow.
But the pattern was perfected, and then anytime anyone orders a wallet on his Etsy shop,
It's already done.
he just,
already in there.
what color leather do you want? And like I paid $50 off